You're waiting for permission that will never come. You're scanning the room for allies who don't exist. Right now, at this exact moment, you're paralyzed because no one believes in you. And that paralysis, it's killing every dream you pretend to have. Here's the truth you've been swallowing like poison. You've outsourced your ambition to other people's approval. You need your family to validate your vision. You need friends to co-sign your goals. You need mentors, investors, partners, anyone to tell you it's okay to move, but they're not coming. They never were. Machiavelli observed this in the courts of Florence 5 centuries ago. He watched ambitious men rot in waiting rooms. They had talent, they had vision, but they suffocated waiting for patronage that never arrived. You know what he called them? Useless. Not because they lacked skill, because they surrendered their agency to external validation. You're doing the same thing right now. You've made your success conditional on circumstances you can't control. And while you wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect team, the perfect encouragement, the wolves who don't wait are taking everything. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. You've confused support with permission. You think you need people in your corner, but what you really want is someone to authorize your movement. To say, yes, you're good enough. Yes, this will work. Yes, I approve. That's not support. That's submission. You're asking the world to parent you, to hold your hand across the street. But the world doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about results. Your need for support isn't a personality trait. It's a strategic error, and it's correctable. In the next 15 minutes, you'll learn 7 ruthless principles that will rewire how you operate. Here's what's coming. 1. Why isolation is a weapon, not a weakness. 2. How to build self-sufficient momentum using the Machiavellian feedback loop. 3. The covert contract destroying your execution and how to kill it. 4. The psychological architecture of self-reliance. How to rewire your brain for solo operation. 5. Tactical steps to succeed in a vacuum of support. 6. The shadow work no one talks about, integrating your need for approval. 7. The final principle. Machiavelli hid in the prince, the one that separates rulers from servants. Stay until the end, because that 7th principle will reframe your entire relationship with power. Let's begin. You think loneliness is your problem? It's not. It's your advantage. Listen carefully. Every entrepreneur, artist, and leader who built something real did it in isolation first. Not because they were lucky, because isolation strips away distraction. No one's opinions diluting your vision, no one's fear contaminating your decisions, no committee to slow your execution. You're alone. Good. That means the signal is clear. Machiavelli wrote, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. You have no men around you, then you can't hire idiots. You can't delegate to cowards. You can't be sabotaged by mediocrity. Your isolation forces you into self-reliance. And self-reliance builds something committees never can: speed. Think about this for a second. Every innovation in history started with one person in a room. Tesla, Einstein, Marie Curie, Steve Jobs in a garage. They didn't wait for consensus. They built in private. They tested in secret. They emerged with proof. Your isolation isn't exile, it's incubation. Here's the tactical play. Stop auditing your network. Stop counting who's with you. That's prey behavior. Start designing experiments every day. Test one idea without permission. Build in private. Let results speak before people do. Document everything. Your isolation is temporary. Your proof of work is permanent. Think of yourself as a lone wolf right now. Wolves in packs share kills. Wolves alone become surgical. They study terrain. They calculate risk. They strike with precision. You're not missing support. You're in the lab. And when you emerge with results, the same people who ignored you will beg to be associated with your success. Ask yourself this question. If no one ever supported you again, could you still build what you're building? If the answer is no, you don't have a vision. You have a dependency. But here's what comes next. And this is where most people break. You're stuck in a loop. You need wins to feel confident, but you need confidence to create wins. So you wait, and nothing moves. This is what psychologists call learned helplessness. Machiavelli would call it strategic suicide. Here's how you break it. You build a feedback loop that doesn't require other people. Step 1, micro wins. Every single day, engineer one small victory you can control. Finished a page? Win, made one cold call. Win. Trained for 30 minutes? Win. These aren't participation trophies, they're neurological rewiring. Your brain craves evidence. Give it evidence you generate. Step 2, self-auditing. At the end of each week, review your own performance like a general reviews troops. What worked? What failed? What do you repeat? What do you kill? You become both the commander and the soldier. Step 3, reframe failure as data. When something doesn't work, you didn't fail. You eliminated a variable. Thomas Edison didn't fail 1,000 times. He discovered 1,000 materials that don't conduct light. You're not failing. You're narrowing the path to success. Now here's where it gets deep. Most people never build this loop because they're terrified of self-judgment. They'd rather have external failure than internal accountability, because if someone else rejects you, you can blame circumstances. But if you review your own work and find it lacking, that's confronting the truth that you're not working hard enough, that your execution is sloppy, that your excuses are lies. Most people can't handle that mirror, but you're not most people. You're building the feedback loop. Machiavelli said, "He who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived." You see that? Blame is a delay tactic. Validation seeking is blame in disguise. You're blaming the absence of support for your lack of progress. Cut it out. Your feedback loop runs on action, audit, adjustment. No one else required. You're the scientist, you're the experiment, you're the result. And here's the dangerous part. Most people never realize that you made a deal you don't remember making. It goes like this. If I work hard, if I'm talented, if I'm a good person, then people will help me. That's a covert contract, and it's destroying you. Covert contracts are unconscious agreements you expect the universe to honor, but the universe didn't sign anything. Neither did your family, neither did your friends. You're holding people accountable to terms they never agreed to. And when they don't deliver, you feel betrayed. But they didn't betray you. You betrayed yourself by expecting reciprocity that was never negotiated. Here's the cold truth. People operate on their incentives, not yours. Your parents want safety for you, not risk. Your friends want you relatable, not distant with ambition. Society wants you compliant, not sovereign. No one is conspiring against you. They're just protecting their interests. And your success, it's not in their interest, not yet. Machiavelli observed, men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Right now, no one loves your vision enough to support it, and you're not powerful enough yet to make them fear ignoring you. So stop expecting support. Let me give you a tactical example. You tell your family you're starting a business. They say, get a real job first. You feel hurt, unsupported, betrayed, but what's really happening? They're operating from their programming, from their fear, from their understanding of safety. They're not rejecting your vision. They're protecting their worldview. Your success would prove their choices were optional, that the safe path wasn't necessary. That terrifies them, so they discourage you, not from malice, from self-preservation. Here's what you do instead. 1. Identify every covert contract you're holding. Write them down. 2. Cross them out ceremonially with prejudice. 3. Rewrite your operating system. I expect nothing. I execute regardless. I reward loyalty after it's proven, not before. 4. Move without permission. Build without approval. Win without witnesses. You're not owed support. You're owed nothing. And that's the most liberating sentence you'll hear today. Now, here's the psychological surgery you need. Here's what no one tells you about self-reliance. It's not a personality trait. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. But first, you need to understand what's broken. You've been conditioned since childhood to seek external validation, gold stars from teachers, approval from parents, likes from strangers. Your dopamine system is wired to other people's reactions. That's the addiction you need to break. Here's how. Phase 1. Dopamine detox from social approval. For 30 days, stop sharing your progress publicly. No social media updates. No, I'm working on something big posts. Build in silence. This will feel like suffocation at first. Your brain will scream for validation hits. Ignore it. You're retraining your reward system to respond to output, not input. To results, not reactions. Phase 2. Internal scorekeeping. Create your own metrics, your own standards. Not what society values, what you value. Did you execute your one critical task today? Yes or no? That's your scoreboard. No gray area. No excuses. Binary accountability. Phase 3, shadow integration. Here's the depth most people avoid. Your need for support isn't just practical, it's psychological. Somewhere in your past, you learned that you're not enough alone. Maybe a parent was absent. Maybe you were abandoned. Maybe you failed publicly and internalized that you need backup. That wound is still running the show. Carl Jung called this shadow work. The parts of yourself you've rejected and projected onto others. You think you need support, but what you really need is to integrate the part of you that feels inadequate alone. That's not therapy talk, that's tactical psychology. Here's the exercise. Sit down, journal this question. When was the first time I felt I couldn't succeed alone? Go back, find the memory, feel it, then rewrite it. Not the event, the meaning. You didn't need others. You were just young, inexperienced, untrained. But now you have skills, agency, choice. The child needed help. The adult you're becoming doesn't. This is surgical self-work. Most people never do it. They just keep running the same script. You're different. You're rewriting the code. Machiavelli understood this. Whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past. Your past taught you dependency. Your future requires sovereignty. The bridge is this work. Now, let's get tactical. Special forces operators train for isolation. They're dropped into hostile territory. No backup, no resupply. They complete the mission anyway. You're in hostile territory right now. The mission? Your goals, the enemy, distraction, doubt, and dependency. Here's your protocol. Phase 1, resource audit. What do you actually need to move forward? Not what you want, what you need. Most people confuse luxury with necessity. You don't need a team, you need a skill. You don't need funding, you need a proof of concept. You don't need a mentor, you need a book and a deadline. Strip your goal down to the irreducible minimum. Phase 2, skill acquisition. Whatever you don't know, learn it fast. You don't have a designer? Learn Canva. You don't have a developer? Learn no-code tools. You don't have a marketer? Study direct response copywriting for 30 days. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." You need both. Be the fox. Learn the systems. Be the lion. Execute with force. Phase 3, ruthless prioritization. Every day, ask, what is the one action that makes everything else easier or unnecessary? That's your target. Ignore everything else. Ignore networking events. Ignore social media. Ignore anything that feels productive but generates 0 results. Execution is binary. Did you move the needle? Yes or no? Phase 4, build proof, not plans. Stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop building slide decks for phantom investors. Build the smallest viable version of your idea and release it. Imperfect action beats perfect planning. Here's a real-world example. You want to start a consulting business. You think you need a website, business cards, a LinkedIn strategy, a portfolio. Wrong. You need one client. How do you get one client? You reach out to 10 people. You offer to solve one specific problem for free or cheap. One says yes. You deliver, you get a testimonial. Now you have proof. That's worth more than $1,000 website. You're not trying to impress anyone right now. You're trying to generate evidence that you don't need them. And once you have that evidence, the power dynamic shifts. But there's one more layer, the shadow work of support. Let's go deeper than tactics. Let's go into the wound. Why do you really want support? Be honest. It's not about resources. You can Google anything, learn anything, build anything. It's about something else, emotional safety. When someone supports you, they're saying, you're not alone in this risk. And that feeling that you're not solely responsible for the outcome, that's the drug. But here's the trap. The moment you share responsibility, you share control. Investors want equity. Partners want decision-making power. Supporters want credit. Nothing is free. Support always comes with strings. Here's what you're actually afraid of. Failure in isolation means you have no one to blame. If you fail with a team, you can blame coordination. If you fail with a mentor, you can blame bad advice. If you fail alone, that's just you, and that's terrifying, but it's also clarifying, because when you succeed alone, that's also just you. No one to share credit with, no one to dilute your win. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." You're choosing regret right now, the regret of inaction, because you're too afraid to own the outcome fully. Here's the reframe. Support isn't safety, it's a security blanket, and you're not a child anymore. You don't need someone to hold your hand through the dark. You need to become the person who walks through the dark without flinching. Here's the practice. Every time you feel the urge to ask for support, pause. Ask yourself, can I do this alone, even if it's harder? If the answer is yes, do it alone. Not out of pride, out of sovereignty, because every time you succeed without support, you build psychological muscle. The muscle that says, I don't need you, I choose you. That's the difference between dependence and alliance. Dependence is weakness. Alliance is strategy, and you can't build alliances until you prove you don't need them. Now, the final principle, the one that changes everything. Here's what Machiavelli buried in The Prince. Most people read it as a manual for manipulating others. It's not. It's a manual for self-sovereignty. Chapter after chapter, he's saying the same thing in different words. Your power cannot depend on the goodwill of others. Princes who relied on mercenaries lost their kingdoms. Princes who relied on alliances were betrayed. Princes who relied on popularity were overthrown the moment the crowd turned. The only princes who survived, the ones who built internal fortresses, military strength they controlled, economic systems they owned, psychological resilience no one could break. You're not trying to build a business right now, you're trying to build a fortress, a system so self-sufficient that support becomes optional, not essential. Here's how. 1. Financial fortress. Even if it's small, control your own capital. Save, reinvest. Never be so broke you need permission to move. Debt is chains, savings is sovereignty. 2. Skill fortress. Become undeniable at one thing. So good they can't ignore you, as Cal Newport said. Master one skill so deeply that you're irreplaceable. 3. Psychological fortress. Build a mind that doesn't crack under isolation. Meditate, journal. Train your emotional regulation like a soldier trains marksmanship. Your mind is your castle. Fortify it. 4. Reputation fortress. Let your work speak. Build in public. Create proof of competence that travels without you. Your reputation should precede you, like a legend, like a ghost. 5. Network fortress. Here's the paradox. You build relationships after you prove you don't need them. When you're self-sufficient, people respect you. They want to associate with you. Support flows to those who don't need it. Machiavelli's final lesson: it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But here's the deeper reading. It's better to be self-sufficient than dependent if you cannot have both support and sovereignty, because support without sovereignty is slavery. You'll succeed, but you'll be owned. Someone else will hold the keys to your castle, and the moment you displease them, they'll lock you out. You didn't come here to be owned. You came here to be free, and freedom is built alone first. Here's the final truth. The world doesn't support vision. It supports momentum. When you're moving, people jump on. When you're still, they walk past. So stop waiting for the crowd. Start moving. Build your fortress brick by brick, day by day. And when it's done, when you're unshakable, self-sufficient, and sovereign, then you open the gates. Then you choose who enters, but not before. Now let's bring this home. Let's bring this home. You walked into this video waiting for someone to believe in you. You're walking out knowing that's a trap. Here's what you now understand. Isolation is not your weakness. It's your laboratory. No distractions, no dilution, just you and the work. Self-validation is a system, not a feeling. You build the feedback loop. You generate the wins. You become your own proof. Covert contracts are poison. You expect nothing. You owe nothing. You move regardless. Self-reliance is trained, not inherited. You rewire your dopamine system. You integrate your shadow. You become psychologically sovereign. Execution is your only language. No more plans, no more pitches, just proof. The shadow work is non-negotiable. Face the wound, rewrite the story, transcend the need. Sovereignty is the end game. Build the fortress. Become untouchable. Let support be a bonus, not a requirement. Here's what happens if you ignore this. You'll spend the next year waiting for someone to validate your vision, waiting for conditions to be perfect, waiting for permission that never arrives. And one day, you'll look up and realize the wolves didn't wait. They moved, they built, they won. And you you'll be exactly where you are now. Still waiting, still hoping someone will save you, but no one's coming. Or you do this. You close this video. You pick one principle. You execute it today. You stop asking for support and start building proof. You become the person who doesn't need a team to start, but attracts one anyway because you're already moving. Here's the brutal reality. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Success doesn't care about your trauma. Results don't care about your story. They care about execution. And execution happens in isolation first. Every empire was built by one person who refused to wait. Every movement started with one voice in the wilderness. Every revolution began with someone who moved without permission. That's you now. You're not waiting anymore. You're the fortress. You're the movement. You're the revolution. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for kings. He wrote it for people like you. People with vision, but no resources. People with ambition, but no allies. He wrote it to say, you don't need them. You never did. Here's your final move. If this video rewired something in you, subscribe, because next week we're going darker into the psychology of strategic invisibility and how to move unseen until you're unstoppable. And here's your action step. Drop one word in the comments. Fortress. That's it. Just that word. Because when you write it, you're signing a contract with yourself. A contract that says, I build alone, I win alone, and I let no one's absence stop me. Count to 3 right now. 1, 2, 3. Did something shift? That's the moment you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the architect of outcomes. Now go. The fortress doesn't build itself, and the world is waiting for what you'll build in the silence.